yesterday. Today I did do a fly around, not in the area that we thought. We actually had planned on going to the Beaufort County area and checking that out, but we have had some issues with the rivers and whatnot, so we were flying around Florence and Marion County this morning. The flooding from the rivers has been unfortunate, and what we are seeing is just a lot of damage. Most first floors are gone, if not homes altogether. We saw cars lost, impassable roads. The town of Nichols, if you may have heard, we had 150 people in town hall on the 3rd floor waiting for help and evacuation, and so we've had fantastic crews from DNR and our law enforcement as well as National Guard who've really gone in there, and they've just been doing rescues all day and will continue to do that. The blessing is we have 7 days of cool and dry weather in the forecast, so that's going to be helpful as we try and continue to go forward with the recovery side of this. Evacuation orders have been lifted in all counties, but I want to go and re-emphasize the process. So when we evacuate, the decision to lift an evacuation is made by the local EMD and the leaders there. They decide when to lift the evacuation, and they decide what their plan is. All counties do it differently. Our job is now to work for them. So we provide National Guard support, helping with clearing the areas and security. We provide law enforcement for traffic control areas in any places that we need it. DNR is there for any sort of water rescues and to help with those situations. We've got our utility linemen trying to get through, so DOT is helpful in terms of debris removal as well as helping us get those linemen through. So a lot of coordination going on, but now we're in support mode for our counties, and so that's the goal, is they keep giving us the list of what they need, and we keep sending people out as needed. We did request the President this morning to issue an expedited major disaster declaration for 13 counties. We will probably add to that. Basically what that means is that's a declaration that will allow us for debris cleanup and also for security. Those are the things that we're going to be focusing on. 4 islands are still closed: Hilton Head Island, Fripp Island, Hunting Island, and Harbor Islands are still closed, and there is still no access to those islands. Now I want to turn it over, because we have had such activity with our rivers, I want to turn it over to 2 who have been extremely involved in dealing with that, and that is Chief Keel and Director Taylor from SLED and DNR.
Good afternoon. We just want to start off by saying that we have put together teams of law enforcement with all of our state law enforcement partners along with National Guard to start our river patrols. We will have river patrols that will be there both now in trying to evacuate folks, trying to get people out that have been caught by the water as the water comes downstream, down to Little PD to the Waccamaw River. We will also have patrols that will be in those rivers at night with aerial assets that will be there when folks have evacuated to try to keep individuals from coming in and looting those homes that will not have anybody there. And we will continue that until the flood subsides. And again, this is an effort on the part of all of our law enforcement partners along with National Guard and DNR with their boats in the water. We'll have law enforcement personnel assisting them during this entire flood event.
The rivers that we're extremely concerned about would be the Little PD, the Lumber River, the Waccamaw River, primarily. We're also still spending time in the Black River to ensure that everything is going well there. Our plan will be to have eyes on the river, personnel in the river for assistance from a safety standpoint, plus security, as Chief Keel mentioned. One thing I would like to point out here is very, very important that sightseers need to stay out of the river. Boats riding up and down the river trying to view the flooded areas are doing nothing more than causing damage to those homes that are flooded. When a boat goes by and that wake rolls into that house, it causes a lot of damage. So That's very important to us, and safety of those residents and security of their properties.
Thank you. As far as our highway patrol, they have been working nonstop, tirelessly with everyone else. We have reported 3 fatalities, accordingly, 2 in Florence and 1 in Columbia. There have been 3,673 calls for service. 1,454 of those were traffic collisions. That's been from the start of this event. Traffic 26 cleared out pretty much by 8 p.m. yesterday, as well as US 176 and US 178. Traffic in the Tri-County area is heavy, and that's mainly because the lights are out, but we've got troopers directing traffic, and in any areas where we're seeing stoplights out, you will see troopers on the road directing traffic and assisting in that way. Traffic control in other areas will continue to be assisted by the troopers. We have currently had 709 troopers on the ground that continue to go wherever they need to. A reminder, please don't drive around the barricaded areas. That's so important. And please don't drive on flooded roads. And what is not flooded today could be flooded tomorrow. So be very careful about the roads that you're traveling as we're dealing with all the different issues. And with that, I am going to turn it now over to Secretary Hall to give you an update on what we have. We do have 390 roads and bridges closed. She may update you that with the new number, but I'll let her go ahead and talk about that. Secretary Hall.
Thank you, Governor. We currently have a little more than 1,400 highway workers out working the area to try to get service restored. There's, as the Governor said, there are approximately 390 closures across the state currently. That's 361 roads and 29 bridges. Most of the closures on the primary routes are due to either flooded roads or power lines tangled in trees across the road, and we're working hard with our power company partners to help get that cleared up. We have about 250 out of that 390 closures are on those secondary roads, so those neighborhood streets, lower volume highways. We have a tremendous number of trees down in some of those areas, and that's our focus now, is to push in that area. We continue with our bridge repairs at the Harbor River Bridge on US 21 in the Beaufort area, and that's part of the reason you see some of the restrictions that the Governor mentioned earlier with access. So just to reiterate, due to the Harbor River Bridge repairs that we currently have underway, Harbor Island, Hunting Island, and Fripp Island are closed to access until we complete those repairs and the locals determine that it's safe to return. And those repairs have been underway since yesterday. Hilton Head Island, as the Governor mentioned, is closed to access with the exception of credentialed individuals pursuant to Beaufort County Reentry Plan. The bridges in that area have been inspected and they're sound, but local officials have restricted access due to safety concerns of widespread down trees and power lines, and as I mentioned, many impassable roads once you get off the main highway. Beaufort County has established a public information hotline so that residents can utilize to get information. That number is 1-800-963-5023. 1-800-963-5023 is the Beaufort County Public Information Hotline. The Beaufort County Sheriff has also established an alert system that you can sign up for. That's www.bcso.net, and that's an alert system via the Sheriff's Office. Our team will continue their diligent work to get the roads reopened as quickly as we can, and we'll wait for the floodwaters to recede to do our bridge inspections and the rest and return everything to service. Thank you, Governor.
So now on to the shelters. We've got 42 shelters, which is down from 54, 2,184 residents as of this morning. 2 pet-friendly shelters are still open, one in Somerville and one in Spartanburg for those who need. Today, proud to see the coordination between Department of Social Services and Director Alford working with Superintendent Spoonman. They're working together on focusing on consolidating the school locations so we can get schools back open again. And so we'll consolidate those to non-school locations. currently there are 30 schools that are being used as shelters. That will drop significantly today as they work on that going forward. We have 18,080 people now currently under boiled water advisories. You'll continue to see that go up and down as we work through the challenges that we have. We still do have 7 special needs shelters that are open. Beaufort Memorial Hospital and Coastal Carolina Hospital have now opened their emergency room operations. So their ER operations are open as of now. Hilton Head Hospital should have opened at noon as well in terms of emergency room situations. Private wells, that are now going to be an issue. We are going to do the same thing we did with the floods before. There is a hotline for your private well assistance. That is 803-898-4312. 803-898-4312. DHEC will be waiving all the fees associated with getting those well samples tested, but now I'm going to turn it over to Director Heigl to give you an update on dams and any other issues.
Thank you. So we set a plan over the weekend to inspect about 250 dams. Those are the ones of most concern based on the rainfall amounts that we did receive. As of 10 a.m. this morning, we had completed 161 of those inspections. To date, at this moment, as of 10 a.m., we have 7 that have failed. We have 4 regulated and 3 unregulated. We are still in the process of getting out there and getting our teams to view these dams. So I do expect that that number may rise. The regulated dams that we have confirmed as breaches are the Little PD State Park in Dillon County, Flowers Pond Dam in Dillon County, Lakewood Pond Dam in Clarendon County, and Graham Pond in Horry County. The unregulated dams that we have confirmed breaches for are Andrews Mill Road in Darlington County, Baywater Drive in Lexington County, that is one we reported earlier as well off Durham Road, and Hardy Lake in Dillon County, which is below Squire Lake Dam. We do have 2 dams that are at risk for failure that we have crews on site for and working with local emergency managers. The Baxley 501 Pond in Marion County, this is a significant hazard dam. And again, we're just continuing to monitor the status of that one, as well as Lake Oakdale in Florence County, also a significant hazard dam. And that one has resulted in a road closing. Also, Florence County had activated code red for adjacent property owners for that one. I'll give the same number that the governor just gave in terms of dams hotline. It's also the private well water hotline number, which is 803-898-4312. So we're asking owners of dams to, again, check the status of your dam, report back to us. We are doing outreach, but we ask owners not to necessarily wait for DHEC to contact you, but to contact us proactively. And those who may be traveling on roads and suspect that there may be a dam issue also can use that number to call in any reports of possible damage. So lastly, for an updated reporting or accounting of confirmed dam breaches, I would invite you to go to our website, which is www.scdhec.gov/hurricane, and we are keeping that up to date. We're updating it twice a day. With that concludes my report.
Thank you, Director Heigl. Okay, so moving on. We are moving very well with utilities. I applaud all of our utility partners as they've moved forward, because we are now at 473,567 customers without service. That is down from 861,000 24 hours ago. So to say that they are working is an understatement. I think they are really on top of this, moving as fast as they can, and will continue to do so. There are 8,000 linemen on the road right now trying to get everybody's power back on. So I am incredibly thankful to the co-ops, Santee Cooper, to SCE&G, as well as Duke, for really making sure that they're not only working to get people's power on, but they're working together to make sure they get everyone's power on. So we're very grateful for that. We don't have any fuel issues right now. Everything seems to be smooth in terms of fuel. We still have sporadic cellular service across the state, so that will continue to be worked out. I want to specifically thank the South Carolina Food Bank Association. They have been fantastic in terms of, we have needed food and water throughout different areas of the state, and they have not let us down in any way whatsoever. So I want to do a special thank you to them. We do have a number now. If you have any sort of debris issues, house issues, you need help in any way whatsoever, all of our great voluntary organizations have come together and developed a hotline, 1-800-451-1954. 1-800-451-1954. And then they will send out the volunteers to help you at your home, to help you work through rebuilding, to help you work through any debris removal that you need around your home. So please don't hesitate to talk to them. Unfortunately, based on what we saw this morning, a lot of those people that were affected by the flood have been re-affected by what we've seen today, and then we have new people that have been affected. And so what we found very, very helpful was we started the 1SC fund last year, and what that did was that allowed neighbors to help neighbors, businesses who wanted to contribute to the state to help those in need. What we will be doing is collecting through 1SC fund and then moving forward and issuing those grants out to those people that can help. But to talk more about that, I'm going to ask Director Marcia Adams to come and talk more about what is available.
Thank you. Good afternoon. We learned some lessons from last year's flood, and one of the most important things is that we learned that we're going to have short-term needs and long-term needs. The best way to address those needs is through monetary donations, and that's why we're asking folks to donate to the 1SC Fund. As you recall, the governor worked with the Central Carolina Community Foundation to set up the fund last year after the devastating floods. And they've agreed to expand the fund to help support nonprofit organizations providing relief and recovery assistance to those impacted by this hurricane. The 1SC Fund will also continue to support the work of those impacted by the floods. Anything donated prior to the hurricane will still be used for flood relief. Thanks to so many generous folks throughout the state and nation, the fund has distributed $2 million in grants to nonprofits to support flood recovery projects across our state and have helped more than 1,500 families to return home. And we expect that we can produce the same results for those affected by the hurricane. During the state's flood response, we also saw a tremendous outpouring of donated goods. But we also learned that those donated goods require warehousing, distribution, transportation, all of which cost extra funding and time. So we encourage donating to the 1SC Fund to make getting supplies to those who really need it much quicker. You can donate to the fund online at 1scfund.org, or you can mail checks to Central Carolina Community Foundation, 1SC Fund, 2711 Middleburg Drive, Suite 213, Columbia, South Carolina, 29204, and we will have all of this on the EMD website. I know some people may still want to donate goods and volunteer. Our best suggestion is to donate and volunteer locally. There are so many local voluntary organizations that have helped us already, and they need to replenish their stocks. They also need volunteers. So I encourage you to look there first. If you need help with volunteer opportunities, there is a website that has been established that you can go to make sure that they understand that what voluntary opportunities are out there and match that to you. That is volunteersc.org. If you have any questions about donations, about volunteering, please call 1-888-585-9643. Thank you.
Thank you. And so what you're seeing is, while we are dealing with challenges, we are moving forward. And so we want everybody to understand that every day gets a little bit better. Even though the challenges change, this entire team is in front of the challenge and continuing to do the work. I personally just want to thank all of our law enforcement, whether it's probation, partner and parole, corrections, DPS, SLED, I hope I didn't leave anybody out, and DNR. with everything that they're doing. I want to thank them for just all the security that they're providing. DNR has been exceptional when it comes to sweeping the rivers, and now especially in dealing with the rivers and rescuing. That's been fantastic. The National Guard has been a fantastic support to all of those as they go forward. You've got a lot of DOT maintenance crews on the ground, and as well as a lot of utility linemen that are doing their best to get things done. What I will ask you is, while I understand for some of you this is still a frustrating time, and for some of you this is a time to count your blessings, regardless of which one it is, do not take it out on these first responders and people on the roads that are trying to get you back in. They're just trying to do their job. So when you see them, don't take your frustration out on them, thank them, because they have families at home. They have damages in their own homes, and they are doing as much as they can to help you get back into yours. So just a reminder that South Carolinians, we were named the friendliest state in the country for a reason. I believe in the faith of the people of South Carolina and of the strength and the resilience of the people of South Carolina. So while we move forward in these challenges, we are moving forward effectively, and we appreciate everybody's patience, and I will continue to ask for your patience as we move forward. And with that, I will open it up for any questions for me or for anyone behind me.
Governor Haley, when you were flying this morning, did you see conditions that were similar to what you saw last year with the 1,000-year flood? I mean, is this the same event for those folks out there on the PED for the most part?
That's what's so hard, is we worked so hard to rebuild these areas, and to see it all go back to that, it was devastating. I mean, really looking in that whole Nichols, Mullins area, going into Florence, and looking at Marion counties. I mean, you're looking at places that got devastation, more flooding in the Marion side, but you know, Florence, you saw a lot of trees down. We're seeing an unprecedented amount of damage on Hilton Head Island, and so when you look at that, that is really, you know, across the state, you see a lot of people who are going to be dealing with some challenges. But what I want people to know is the state's not stopping until we get them back on track, and that's why all of these people are putting all of their time and sacrifice and service on the line to make sure that everybody's feeling safe and comfortable and moving forward.
Governor Haley and Beaufort, even though they lifted the evacuation order, there were still local authorities turning people back. Do you feel like your office could have better communicated to evacuees returning home that they could still be stopped and turned around?
We made it as clear as possible yesterday morning that if an evacuation was not lifted, do not go home. What we saw was a lot of people attempting to go home. The way the process continues to work is we lift the evacuation when the county tells us to lift the evacuation. They have their own plans. They work on these plans for years and years, and then they're supposed to implement them. We are the support system to all of them. So we want to do everything we can to keep it as smooth as it was. So we followed what Beaufort County wanted to do. I know that they had their hiccups, and I know that they're dealing with that. They're also dealing with thousands of trees down and lots of issues. And so our job is to now support them in every way that we can, help them in every way that we can, and I think we're doing that, whether it's clearing the roads or whether it's with Secretary Hall dealing directly with the mayor. But really the emergency management director in every county is our go-to person. And we also talk to the sheriffs of those areas and the local leaders in those areas. And once they're all in agreement, that's when we lift an evacuation. So when they asked us to do that, we did that. They put their plan in place. Sometimes those don't always go well, but we're there to help them and keep it moving.
So they may have lifted it early if they were turning people away after the evacuation order was lifted?
I think what happened was their intentions were good. They lifted it planning on putting people in shelters. So they knew that people couldn't get into the plantations or those closed areas, so they thought they'd put them in the shelters, and then as their area opened up, they would announce that those people from the shelter would go home. I don't think that actually worked very well, and so they have readjusted, and from everything that I know, it's moving more smoothly today, and everything is fine. But that's why we mentioned those 4 islands. You can go to those islands, but you're not going to be allowed in, because it's still, I mean, really, this is trees down in a way like we've never seen before, and flooded roads in a way that has been devastating to these areas that may not have dealt with it. You look at Beaufort County, and Beaufort County wasn't totally hit by the flood the way they're being hit now. So I think it's, you know, everybody has their hiccups, and we're going to keep on supporting them.
Do you have any concerns about dams in the Midlands, or in Columbia area, given what happened during the flood?
We continue to have concerns about dams throughout the state, especially those that were impacted by the flood last year. And so that is why when we came out with that original number before the hurricane hit, I believe it was over 300 that we had listed, and that included, and the 83 number that we had included a number of, I believe 44 dams that were in the Midlands area that were subject to emergency orders. So long-winded answer, but yes, we remain concerned.
Any other questions?
Can we get some more detail about the Nichols situation and other water rescues that took place so far?
Yes, I'm gonna have Director Taylor
Sure.
speak on
The Nichols situation was a result of high rising water in the Lumber and Little Petey rivers. And residents went to the town hall there in Nichols to seek shelter. And we responded with our local partners and of course Army Guard, National Guard to conduct rescues. As a result of that, with flyovers, with SLED and the Guard, we located other people on the Little Petey River, their homes that were being flooded. And so that's the situation on Little Petey. Little Petey is not expected to crest for several days now. The Waccamaw River could be as much as 2 weeks before it crests. And so we're there now just to provide safety for those residents along the river. It's very difficult when you're looking at those rivers. Most of the models work well with rainfall, but when you have dam breaches upstream, then the models are very difficult to follow. So that's why we have eyes on the ground day and night watching those rivers and notifying people downstream.
Do you have a number of how many aerial rescues y'all performed?
Well, the last that I had, which was really about an hour ago because we've been putting plans together, I know that we picked up 12 in the Little Petey River area. And those were spotted by SLED helicopter, and then DNR boats and other rescue boats went in and rescued the folks.
And all of the 150
Oh,
in
yes,
Nichols
yes,
were
all the
all
150 in Nichols absolutely got.
That was a boat rescue though, 150?
No, the 150, well, it was boats and vehicle rescues, high vehicle rescues.
And, you know, just to let people know, and he probably wouldn't appreciate me saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. One of those rescues for Director Taylor was his aunt. You know, and you look at our fire chief with LLR, his house was damaged. His wife was in her room when the tree came actually into the house. So a lot of the people behind me have been affected directly, and a lot of those on the roads have been affected directly, but they're working anyway. And I know that Director Taylor and Chief Keel are mapping and looking at everything and trying to pre-position groups so that they are in front of any sort of flooding that may happen, so that just like what they did with Nichols, they were on it. We're going to make sure that we're very close by and on it as we go forward.
Governor, while you've been dealing with a hurricane, there's been a political storm brewing over Donald Trump and the 2005 comments he made about being sexually aggressive toward women. I know you've said you'd support the nominee, you'd still vote for him. Have you changed your mind?
The only storm I have time for right now is this one in South Carolina. I really have total tunnel vision on making sure that we get South Carolina up and running. So, I mean, politically, I'm checked out from all that.
Governor, kind of following back up with pre-positioning assets, can you guys talk a little bit more about what assets? And we were just talking about more boats, more people. It sounds like a lot has been moving towards the PD at this point.
It will be. It'll be more boats, more patrol zones, aerial assets that we're pre-positioning as well, so that we can try and anticipate ahead of time where the problems will be.
Are there any locations that you feel like you're ahead of the game in progress, or things are back to normal faster than you might have thought, considering the conditions Friday and Saturday?
I mean, I think that everybody should look at the blessings, which is all our interstates are moving. They are working on debris clearance and have gotten a lot done. You look at all the evacuations that are lifted. We have, you know, dropped our utility outages almost in half. So all of these things, the shelter numbers are going down, people are getting back in, and our goal is just how fast can we do this. And so I think everybody pre-positions because we're thinking 48 hours out. We're not thinking about what's happening today. That was planned 2 days ago. we're thinking about how do we make sure we're in the right place so that things continue to move. And I can't say enough about the cooperation of every one of our agencies. When I talk about Team South Carolina, I mean every one of the agencies, as well as our work with the counties. I mean, the cooperation has been fantastic, and we appreciate it. And while it's been challenging, everybody has done everything they can to make sure that they're keeping people safe, and that's all you can ask.
Governor, were those inland areas, just one last question, were those inland areas as well prepared as you think as maybe more of the coastal areas when it came to this storm?
I mean, I think they were. Florence was really kind of the surprise point. I think that they got more damage than expected, but I don't know that there was any county that was not prepared. I mean, the State Emergency Management Division and Kim Stenson do a fantastic job in terms of talking with those county directors way ahead of time. So the second there's even a hurricane anywhere in sight, they're already talking with the county directors. So I think that the communication and everything was good. You know, what we're seeing is, you know, the situation in Nichols, or we're seeing more downfall on Hilton Head or Florence. Those are always the surprises because you never know what the storm's going to do. So I think it's always somewhat of a surprise, but a lot of blessings along the way, and then our goal is just to continue to get people back in their homes safely. And so we ask again for your patience. Don't drive through flooded roads. Make sure you don't put generators in your garages, because we've already had, I think we had almost over 6 instances that we knew of people who had already had to be taken to hospital for carbon monoxide poisoning. And then also don't drive around the barricades that they've got set in place, and understand that any public servant that you come across, whether it's the DSS workers in the shelters or the people on the ground, they're there to help you. And so just understand that they're trying to be a support to you, and we ask for respect back in return. But other than that, South Carolina is getting stronger by the day, and we are pushing through this, and we continue to have more progress as we go forward. Thank y'all very much.
Will we expect to hear from you again, or was this the last one?
We're going to have another meeting as a group. If there is significant changes, then we will probably have one this afternoon. As of now, I don't expect one, but that could change. So as the day goes on, we'll continue to keep you informed. I'd rather keep you more informed than not, so we'll decide otherwise.